Captain Derek Stone wiped the dust from his jacket as he walked through the nearly empty slave market on Thelix 9 station. The air smelled of metal and fear. Most of the traders had already packed up their goods and left. The auction was over. Derek hated these places, but sometimes his cargo routes forced him to stop at stations where such things were legal. He had only come to refuel his ship, the Horizon Runner. He never bought slaves. Never would. But something made him walk through the market anyway. Maybe it was curiosity. Maybe it was disgust. He wanted to see what kind of people did this sort of business. The cages were empty now. All the people had been sold and taken away. Derek felt sick thinking about it. He turned to leave when he heard a small sound. A whimper. Quiet and frightened. He stopped and looked around. In the far corner of the market, behind stacks of empty containers, sat one cage. It was small and rusted. Inside, huddled in the back corner, was a tiny figure. Derek walked closer. His boots echoed on the metal floor. The figure didn't move. As he got nearer, he could see it was a child. A girl. She looked maybe 10 or 11 years old, though it was hard to tell with alien species. Her skin was pale gray with faint blue patterns running down her arms. Her large eyes were dark and round, filled with terror. She wore nothing but a torn cloth wrapped around her thin body. She was a Velrian. Derek recognized the species from his travels. Velrians were considered the lowest of the low in most parts of the galaxy. They had no strength, no special powers, no telepathic abilities. They couldn't survive harsh environments. Most species saw them as completely useless. "Hey," Derek said softly. "You okay?" The girl pressed herself harder against the back of the cage. She was shaking. A voice called out from behind him. "You buying or just looking?" Derek turned to see the station master approaching. He was a large Horthian with 4 arms and gray skin covered in scars. He carried a data pad and looked annoyed. "Why is she still here?" Derek asked, pointing at the cage. The station master shrugged. Nobody wanted her. Velrian. Worthless species. Can't do hard labor. Can't fight. Can't breed for profit. The trader who brought her couldn't even give her away. He left her behind when he departed. Derek felt his jaw tighten. So what happens to her now? "Recyclers," the station master said simply. "In about an hour. Station policy. Can't have unwanted cargo taking up space." Derek looked back at the girl. She was staring at him now. Those big dark eyes held no hope. Only acceptance. She expected to die. She had probably expected it for a long time. "How much?" Derek heard himself say. The station master laughed. "You serious? For that thing? How much?" Derek repeated, his voice harder. The station master checked his data pad. Original asking price was 50 credits. But like I said, nobody wants her. You can have her for free if you take her now. Saves me the recycling fee. Derek pulled out his credit chip. "I'm paying 50. Make it official. Transfer of ownership. Legal documents. Now." The station master looked confused but shrugged. "Your credits to waste." 5 minutes later, Derek had the official papers on his data pad. The girl now legally belonged to him. The station master opened the cage with a key card. The girl didn't move. "Come on," the station master said impatiently. "Your new owner is waiting." The girl slowly crawled out of the cage. She could barely stand. Her legs shook. She looked up at Derek with those terrified eyes, waiting for him to hurt her. Derek knelt down to her level. "My name is Derek. I have a ship. You're going to come with me. I'm not going to hurt you. Understand?" She said nothing. Just stared. "Do you have a name?" he asked gently. She nodded slightly. "Will you tell me?" Her voice came out as barely a whisper. "Kira." "Kira?" Derek repeated. "That's a good name. Come on, Kira. Let's get you out of here." He stood and started walking toward the docking bay. After a moment, he heard small footsteps behind him. She was following but keeping distance. Smart girl. His ship, the Horizon Runner, was a mid-sized cargo vessel. Nothing fancy but reliable. His crew of 6 looked up in surprise when Derek came aboard with a small alien girl trailing behind him. "Captain," said his first officer, a woman named Sarah. "What's that?" "Her name is Kira," Derek said firmly. "She's with us now. Get her some food and find her a place to sleep. The empty cabin next to the med bay should work." Sarah opened her mouth to argue, then saw the look on Derek's face and nodded. "Yes, sir." Derek led Kira to the small cabin. It had a bed, a storage locker, and a small bathroom. Simple but clean. Much better than a cage. "This is yours," he said. Nobody will bother you here. The door locks from the inside. See? He showed her the control panel. You're safe. Kira stood in the middle of the room, still shaking. She didn't look at the bed. Didn't look at anything. Just stood there. Sarah arrived with a tray of food. Simple things. Bread, fruit, water. She set it on the small table and left quietly. You should eat, Derek said. Then rest. We're leaving the station in 2 hours. He turned to leave but stopped at the door. Kira? I meant what I said. I won't hurt you. Nobody on this ship will. You're not a slave here. You understand? She didn't respond. Didn't even look at him. Derek sighed and left, closing the door behind him. He heard the lock click immediately. Good. She felt safe enough to use it. Back on the bridge, Sarah pulled him aside. Captain, what were you thinking? Taking in a slave? We're not a rescue ship. She's a child, Derek said quietly. They were going to kill her. What was I supposed to do? A Velrian child, Sarah pointed out. You know what people say about them. Useless. She'll be nothing but a burden. Derek looked out at the stars through the viewport. Then we'll carry that burden. Prepare for departure. Sarah shook her head but moved to her station. The crew worked in silence, preparing the ship to leave. 2 hours later, the Horizon Runner undocked from Galaxon 9 and jumped to faster-than-light travel. They were headed for the outer colonies with a cargo of medical supplies. Derek checked on Kira before going to sleep. He knocked gently on her door. No answer. He opened it slightly and looked inside. The food was untouched. The bed was unused. Kira sat in the corner of the room, arms wrapped around her knees, staring at nothing. She hadn't moved. Hadn't eaten. Hadn't slept. She looked at him with those dark, haunted eyes. Still waiting for the pain to begin. Still expecting cruelty. Derek felt his heart break a little. Whatever she had been through had destroyed her ability to trust. To hope. Good night, Kira, he said softly and closed the door. He stood in the corridor for a long moment, wondering what he had gotten himself into. Wondering if he could help her. Wondering if anyone could. But he knew one thing for certain. He wouldn't give up on her. Everyone else in the galaxy might see her as worthless, but Derek saw a frightened child who deserved a chance. And he would give her that chance no matter what it took. The first 3 days were hard. Kira stayed in her room, barely moving. Derek brought her food 3 times a day. He would knock, enter slowly, and place the tray on the table. She never looked at him. Never spoke. She just sat in her corner, trembling. Good morning, Kira, Derek would say each time. I brought you breakfast. Fresh fruit today. I think you'll like it. No response. Just those dark eyes watching him like he might attack at any moment. Derek never forced her to talk. Never demanded anything. He would set down the food, tell her about his day, and leave. Simple as that. We're passing through the Deneb sector today, he said on the 4th morning. Beautiful stars out here. Maybe you'd like to see them sometime. The observation deck has a great view. Still nothing. But Derek noticed something. The food from yesterday was gone. She was eating, at least when he wasn't watching. On the 5th day, Derek changed his approach. Instead of leaving immediately, he sat down on the floor near the door. Not close to her. Just in the same room. You don't have to talk, he said quietly. But I'll just sit here for a bit. Keep you company. Is that okay? Kira pressed herself harder against the wall. But she didn't tell him to leave. Derek took that as permission. He sat there for 10 minutes, saying nothing. Just being present. Then he stood, smiled at her, and left. The next day he did the same thing. And the day after that. Each time he sat a little longer. Talked a little more. About the ship. About the stars. About his crew. Nothing important. Just gentle conversation. On the 8th day something changed. Derek brought lunch and sat in his usual spot by the door. He was talking about their next destination when he noticed Kira had moved. Just slightly. She wasn't pressed against the wall anymore. She sat more relaxed, legs crossed, watching him. That's a nice change, Derek said with a smile. You look more comfortable. Kira's eyes widened and she started to move back to the wall. No, Derek said quickly. It's good. I like it. You should be comfortable. This is your room. She stopped moving. Stayed where she was. It was a small victory, but Derek's heart lifted. The next morning, Derek brought breakfast as usual. But this time, instead of setting the tray on the table, he held it in his hands and sat down. Would you like to eat with me watching? He asked. Or should I leave? Kira stared at the food. Her stomach made a small noise. She was hungry. Slowly, very slowly, she reached out one thin hand. Derek held the tray steady, not moving closer. Her fingers touched a piece of bread. She grabbed it quickly and pulled back like she expected him to hit her. Derek didn't move. Just smiled. Good. You need your strength. Kira took a small bite. Then another. She kept her eyes on Derek the whole time, watching for danger. But he just sat there, calm and patient. From that day forward, things got easier. Kira began eating while Derek was in the room. Then she started taking food directly from his hand. Small pieces of fruit. Bits of bread. Her fingers would brush his palm, quick and nervous, then dart away. You're doing great, Derek would tell her. By the end of the second week, Kira started leaving her room. Just for a few minutes at first. She would peek out into the hallway, look around, then retreat back inside. But each day she ventured a little farther. Derek pretended not to notice. He didn't want to scare her. But his crew noticed. The kid followed you to the galley today, Sarah said one evening. Stayed in the doorway watching you eat. I know, Derek said. She's starting to trust you. Derek nodded. Slowly. Very slowly. But yes. 3 weeks after leaving Thelex 9, Kira began following Derek around the ship. She stayed far behind, hiding when other crew members appeared. But she was there, a small shadow in the corridors. Derek made sure to move slowly. To talk to his crew in gentle voices when she was near. To show her that the ship was safe. That people could be kind. One day, Derek was in the cargo bay checking inventory. He heard a small sound behind him. He turned to see Kira standing just inside the doorway. Closer than she'd ever been before. Hello, Kira, he said softly. Want to help me count boxes? She didn't answer, but she didn't leave either. Derek went back to work, calling out numbers. After a few minutes, he heard a tiny voice. 12. Derek stopped and looked at her. Kira pointed at a stack of containers. You're right, Derek said, grinning. 12 exactly. Good eye. The smallest hint of a smile touched her lips. Just for a second. Then it was gone. But Derek had seen it. That evening, Kira ate dinner in the galley with the crew for the first time. She sat at the far end of the table, not speaking but present. The crew members knew to keep their distance, to talk quietly, to let her adjust at her own pace. Derek felt proud. Kira was healing. Slowly but surely. Then everything went wrong. It was the middle of the night cycle when the alarms blared. Derek jumped out of bed and ran to the bridge. Sarah was already there, her face tight with worry. Pirates, she said. 3 ships. They're demanding we stop and prepare to be boarded. Derek's blood went cold. Battle stations. Now. The crew scrambled to their positions. The Horizon Runner wasn't a warship, but it had basic defenses. Shields. A few weapons. Enough to fight back if needed. The pirate ships closed in fast. They were small, quick vessels. Built for raiding, not honest work. They're firing, Sarah shouted. The ship shook as energy blasts hit the shields. Derek gripped his chair, trying to think. They couldn't outrun 3 ships. They'd have to fight. Return fire, he ordered. Target their engines. The Horizon Runner's guns fired back. One pirate ship took a hit and spun away, damaged. But the other 2 kept coming. Then Derek heard a crash. The pirates had latched onto the hull. They were boarding. Get weapons, Derek yelled. Defend the ship. His crew grabbed whatever they could find. Energy pistols. Metal bars. Anything. The pirates cut through the airlock and poured into the corridor. Fighting erupted. Energy blasts lit up the halls. Derek fired his pistol, trying to push the pirates back. There were too many of them. In the chaos, Derek suddenly thought of Kira. Where was she? Was she safe? Kira, he shouted. No answer. His heart pounded. He had to find her. He ran through the ship, dodging pirates and crew members fighting hand to hand. He reached Kira's cabin and slammed the door open. Empty. Kira, he screamed. She was gone. Vanished. Derek felt panic rising in his chest. She could be anywhere. Hiding. Captured. Hurt. The ship shook again. More explosions. More fighting. Derek searched frantically, calling her name, checking every corner, every room. But Kira had disappeared. And as the battle raged around him, Derek realized he might have saved her from the slave market only to lose her to something far worse. Derek ran through the smoke-filled corridors, his heart racing. Pirates were everywhere, stealing cargo and fighting his crew. But all he could think about was Kira. Where was she? Was she hurt? Kira, he shouted again. Where are you? A pirate rushed at him from the side. Derek barely had time to raise his pistol and fire. The pirate fell. Derek kept running, checking every corner, every hiding spot he could think of. Then he heard it. A small voice, barely a whisper, coming from above. Derek stopped and looked up. There was a ventilation grate in the ceiling. The voice was coming from inside the vent system. "Kira?" he called softly. "Derek." Her voice was quiet but clear. "I'm here." Relief flooded through him. She was alive. "Are you okay? Are you hurt?" "No. I'm safe." "But Derek, listen. 3 pirates are coming toward you. From the left corridor. They have big guns. Turn right. Go to the storage room." Derek froze. How did she know that? He couldn't see any pirates. But he trusted her. He turned right and ducked into the storage room, pressing against the wall. Seconds later, 3 heavily armed pirates ran past, heading down the corridor he'd just left. They hadn't seen him. "How did you know?" Derek whispered to the ceiling. "I can hear them," Kira said. "Not their voices. They're machines. They're communicators. They're ships. I can hear everything." Derek's mind raced. Velrians could hear electromagnetic frequencies? He'd never heard of that. Nobody had ever mentioned it. "Can you hear what they're saying to each other?" he asked. "Yes. They're talking on their communication devices. The leader is on the bridge. He's telling his men to gather all the crew in the galley. They want to take everyone prisoner." Derek pressed his communicator. "Sarah, can you hear me?" "Barely," Sarah's voice crackled back. "We're pinned down near the engine room. The pirates are trying to gather everyone in the galley. Don't let them trap you. Stay mobile." "How do you know their plan?" Derek looked up at the vent. "I have help." "Kira, where's the pirate leader now?" "Still on the bridge," she whispered. "He has 2 guards with him. The rest of his men are spread through the ship. 8 in the cargo bay. 5 near the engine room. For searching the crew quarters. Can you guide me to the bridge without being seen?" There was a pause. Then Kira's voice came back, stronger this time. "Yes, I can do that. Go back to the corridor. Turn left. Count to 10, then run to the maintenance shaft. 2 pirates will pass by before you count to 10. Wait for them." Derek did exactly as she said. He counted. 2 pirates ran past, heading somewhere else. At 10 he sprinted to the maintenance shaft and climbed inside. "Now what?" he whispered. For the next 15 minutes, Kira guided him through the ship like a ghost. She told him when to move, when to hide, when to wait. She could hear every pirate's communicator, every order given, every movement planned. It was like she could see through walls. Derek reached the bridge access corridor. 3 pirates stood guard outside. "I can't get past 3 of them," Derek said quietly. "You don't have to," Kira said. "Their leader just ordered 2 of them to the cargo bay. Wait 30 seconds. Derek counted. Sure enough, 2 pirates received orders on their communicators and jogged away. Only 1 guard remained. Derek crept forward, stunned the guard with a quick shot, and burst onto the bridge. The pirate leader spun around, reaching for his weapon. But Derek was faster. He fired twice. The 2 guards fell. The leader dropped his gun and raised his hands. "Tell your men to surrender," Derek said, his pistol aimed at the leader's chest. "Now." The pirate leader glared at him. "How did you sneak past everyone? That's impossible. Tell them to surrender or I'll blow a hole in this ship's hull. We'll all die, but you'll die first." The leader grabbed his communicator and gave the order. Throughout the ship, the pirates stopped fighting and surrendered. Derek's crew quickly disarmed them and locked them in the cargo bay. 30 minutes later it was over. The pirate ships were disabled and drifting away. The boarders were captured. The Horizon Runner was damaged but safe. Derek stood in the corridor beneath the vent where Kira was hiding. "You can come out now. It's safe." Silence. Then the grate opened and Kira's small face appeared. She looked terrified. "I'm not angry," Derek said gently. "You saved us. You saved everyone. Come down." Slowly, Kira crawled out of the vent and dropped to the floor. She wouldn't look at him. The crew gathered around, staring at the small Velrian girl who had turned the tide of battle. "She can hear electromagnetic signals," Derek explained. "She heard everything the pirates said on their communicators. Every plan they made. That's how we won." Sarah stepped forward, her eyes wide. "That's incredible. I've never heard of Velrians having that ability." "Nobody knows," Kira whispered. "We hide it. People know they use us, hurt us, make us work until we die." Derek knelt down beside her. "Nobody here will hurt you. You understand that, right?" Kira's eyes filled with tears. She looked up at Derek and for the first time she looked truly afraid. Not of danger. Of something else. "Now that you know I'm useful," she said, her voice shaking. Will you sell me? The words hit Derek like a punch to the stomach. The crew fell silent. Sell you? Derek repeated. Kira, why would you think that? Because that's what happens, she said, tears running down her face. When they find out we can hear machines, they sell us for lots of money. To governments, to companies. We become tools. I've seen it happen to others. That's why I never told anyone. But I had to help you. I couldn't let the pirates hurt you. And now you'll sell me. Derek felt his heart breaking. This child had saved all their lives and she thought he would betray her for it. He reached out slowly and put his hand on her shoulder. She flinched but didn't pull away. Kira, look at me, he said softly. She raised her eyes to his. I will never sell you. Not for any amount of money. Not to anyone. You're not a tool. You're not property. You're a person. A brave, amazing person who just saved 20 lives. Do you understand? But I'm valuable now, Kira said. People will want me. Let them want, Derek said firmly. They can't have you. You're part of this crew now. Your family. And we protect our family. Sarah stepped forward. The captain's right. You're one of us now, kid. The other crew members nodded and murmured agreement. Kira looked around at all of them. At their kind faces. At their honest eyes. Slowly the fear began to fade. Something else took its place. Something she hadn't felt in years. Hope. She threw her arms around Derek and sobbed into his chest. Not from fear this time. From relief. From joy. From finally feeling safe. Derek held her gently, letting her cry. The crew stood quietly, giving them space. When Kira's tears finally stopped, she pulled back and looked up at Derek. Thank you, she whispered. Derek smiled. No, Kira. Thank you. 2 days after the pirate attack, the Horizon runner docked at Kelver Station for repairs. Derek sat in his cabin with a data pad, filling out forms. Kira sat across from him, watching nervously. What are you doing? She asked quietly. Derek looked up and smiled. I'm registering you as a free citizen of the Coalition. And as an official crew member of this ship. Kira's eyes went wide. Free citizen? But I belong to you. You bought me. No, Derek said firmly. I paid to get you out of that cage. But you don't belong to me. You don't belong to anyone. These papers will make it official. Legal. Nobody can ever claim you as property again. But what if someone checks? What if they find out I was a slave? Derek shook his head. It doesn't matter. Once these forms are filed with the Coalition Registry, you're a free person. Past doesn't matter. Only the future. He pressed his thumb to the data pad, completing the registration. A confirmation appeared on the screen. Kirichin. Free citizen. Crew member, Horizon runner. Status. Communication specialist. There, Derek said. Done. You're free, Kira. Officially and legally. Kira stared at the screen. Tears formed in her eyes, but this time they were happy tears. I have a last name now? Chin. Same as mine. If you want it. Your family now. Kira nodded, unable to speak. She had a name. A real name. A family. A home. The repairs took 3 days. During that time, Kira started working with the ship's engineer, a quiet man named Tom. He taught her how to read the ship's systems using her special hearing. She could detect problems before the computers even registered them. She could hear when parts were wearing out, when systems were running hot, when something wasn't working right. You're amazing, Tom told her one afternoon. You just saved us from an engine failure. I would never have caught that until it was too late. Kira smiled shyly. For the first time in her life, her ability wasn't a curse. It was a gift. And people appreciated it without wanting to use her. On the 4th day, everything changed. Derek was in the station's administrative office, filing the final repair reports, when a well-dressed man approached him. He wore an expensive suit and had 2 security guards with him. Captain Derek Chin? The man asked with a smooth smile. That's me. My name is Howard Phillips. I represent Galaxon Corporation. We're one of the largest technology companies in the sector. May I have a word? Derek felt something cold in his stomach. About what? About your new crew member. The Velrian girl. Kira, I believe? Derek's jaw tightened. What about her? Howard's smile widened. Word travels fast on stations like this. We heard about the pirate attack. About how she can hear electromagnetic frequencies. That's a very rare and valuable skill, Captain. We'd like to make you an offer. She's not for sale. Of course not, Howard said quickly. We're not buying slaves. We're offering employment. Very generous employment. We'd like to hire Kira to work in our communications division. We'll pay her 100,000 credits per year, plus benefits, housing, medical care, everything she could need. Derek crossed his arms. And you're telling me this because? Because legally, as her captain and guardian, you have the authority to sign contracts on her behalf. She's a minor after all. She's also a free citizen. And I don't sign anything without talking to her first. Howard pulled out a data pad. Of course. Please review the contract. Discuss it with her. We'll wait for your answer. But Captain, I should mention that if you accept, there's a finder's fee for you. 500,000 credits. Derek took the data pad but didn't look at it. I'll read it. But I'm not promising anything. Understood. We're staying at the Grand Hotel, Suite 402. Contact us when you've decided. Howard and his guards left. Derek looked down at the contract on the data pad. His hands were shaking. Not from excitement about the money. From anger. He returned to the ship and found Kira in the engine room with Tom. She looked happy, pointing out a small problem in one of the power relays. Kira, can you come with me? Derek asked. We need to talk. Her smile faded. She followed him to his cabin. Sarah was already there. Derek had asked her to join them. What's wrong? Kira asked, sensing the tension. Derek handed her the data pad. A company called Galaxon wants to hire you. They're offering a lot of money. I want you to read the contract carefully. Take your time. Then we'll discuss it. Kira took the pad with trembling hands. She read slowly, her eyes moving across the screen. The more she read, the paler she became. After 10 minutes, she set the pad down. It says employment. But it's not really employment, is it? What do you mean? Sarah asked. Kira pointed at the screen. It says I would work for them exclusively. I can't quit without their permission. I have to live in their facility. I can't leave without approval. They control my schedule, my time, my entire life. It says employment, but the words mean slavery. Derek nodded. That's exactly what I thought. It's slavery with fancy language. But they're offering so much money, Kira said quietly. 100,000 credits. You could use that money. The ship needs repairs. The crew needs better equipment. Kira, Derek said gently, are you actually considering this? She looked down at her hands. You saved my life. Maybe I owe you this. You owe me nothing, Derek said firmly. You've already paid back any debt 100 times over. You saved this entire crew from pirates. But that's not even the point. This is your life. Your choice. Not mine. Sarah leaned forward. Kira, do you want to work for Galaxon? Kira shook her head. No. I want to stay here. On the Horizon Runner. With all of you. This is my home. Then that's your answer, Sarah said. But the money? We don't need their money, Derek interrupted. We need you. Happy and free. That's worth more than any amount of credits. Kira looked up at him with wide eyes. Really? Really? There was a long silence. Then Kira stood up. Her small body straightened. Her chin lifted. Derek saw something new in her eyes. Strength. Determination. I want to tell them myself, she said. Derek smiled. You sure? Yes. I'm tired of other people making decisions about my life. I want to say no myself. An hour later, Derek, Kira, and Sarah stood in the lobby of the Grand Hotel. Howard Phillips came down to meet them, his smile confident. Captain Chin. Have you made a decision? Derek stepped aside. Kira has something to tell you. Howard looked surprised but maintained his smile. Of course. Young lady, I hope you're excited about this opportunity. We'll take excellent care of you. Kira took a deep breath. Her voice was small but clear. No. Howard blinked. Excuse me? No, Kira repeated louder this time. I don't want to work for you. I'm staying with my crew. With my family. But the money? I don't care about money, Kira said. Your contract isn't employment. It's slavery. You can't trick me with fancy words. I'm free now. And I'm staying free. Howard's smile disappeared. His face hardened. You're making a mistake. This is a generous offer. No, Kira said for the third time. You're the one making a mistake. I'm not for sale. Not anymore. Not ever. She turned and walked away, her head high. Derek and Sarah followed, leaving Howard standing in the lobby, speechless. Outside the hotel, Kira stopped and turned to Derek. She was smiling. Really smiling. For the first time since he'd met her, she looked truly happy. I did it, she said. I said no. All by myself. Derek put his hand on her shoulder. I'm proud of you, Kira. So proud. Me too, she whispered. And she meant it. The next morning, Derek woke to urgent knocking on his cabin door. He opened it to find Tom, the engineer, looking worried. Captain, there are people outside the ship. They say they're from Galaxon Corporation. They want to talk to you. Derek pulled on his jacket and went to the airlock. Through the viewport, he could see 6 men in security uniforms standing on the docking platform. They were armed. Behind them stood Howard Phillips, looking calm and confident. Derek opened the external comm. What do you want? Howard's voice came through clearly. Captain Chin, I'm here to collect Kira. We've obtained a legal warrant. A warrant for what? She's a free citizen. She rejected your offer. We've reviewed the records. Her citizenship papers were filed just 4 days ago. Before that, she was registered as your property. We're claiming that the employment contract supersedes her new citizenship status based on your prior ownership. Derek felt rage burning in his chest. That's garbage and you know it. The law doesn't work that way. Our lawyers disagree. Now please send the girl out or we'll come in and get her. Derek closed the comm and turned to Tom. Get everyone to the airlock. Now. And find Kira. Keep her in the center of the ship. Within minutes, the entire crew had gathered. All 20 of them. They stood together, blocking the airlock entrance. Derek stood at the front. He opened the comm again. You want her? You'll have to go through all of us. Howard sighed. Captain, be reasonable. We have legal authority. We have armed security. You're a cargo ship. You can't win this fight. Maybe not, Derek said. But we'll try anyway. Kira is family. And we protect our family. The security guards moved forward, hands on their weapons. The standoff was about to turn violent when a small voice spoke over the ship's intercom. Wait. Everyone stopped. Kira's voice echoed through the docking bay. Kira, stay inside, Derek called out. No, she said firmly. I have something to say. Something everyone needs to hear. Suddenly, every speaker on the docking platform activated. Every screen. Every communication device. Kira had tapped into the station's entire broadcast system. My name is Kira Chin, her voice rang out across the station. I'm a Velrian. 4 weeks ago I was a slave on Galaxon 9. I was going to be killed because nobody wanted me. Captain Derek Chin saved my life. He made me free. He gave me a home. Howard's face went pale. Shut her up. Shut down those speakers. But Kira continued. Now a company called Galaxon wants to take me. They say it's legal employment. But I can hear things other people can't. I can hear electromagnetic frequencies, radio signals, computer transmissions. And I've been listening to Galaxon's communications since yesterday. Derek felt his heart race. What was she doing? Galaxon Corporation doesn't want to employ me, Kira said. They want to own me. They have 17 other people like me. Velrians. Taken from different places. Held in a facility on Carvon Station. They call it employment, but it's slavery. The people there can't leave. Can't quit. They work 20 hours a day. Some of them are children. Howard stepped forward shouting. This is slander. We'll sue. I recorded everything, Kira interrupted. Every communication. Every order. Every conversation. I'm broadcasting it now to every data pad, every computer, every screen on this station. Everyone can see the truth. Across Kelver Station, thousands of people stopped what they were doing. They looked at their devices. Files appeared. Audio recordings. Video feeds. Communications between Galaxon executives discussing their assets. Plans to acquire more Velrians. Complaints about workers who had died from exhaustion. The evidence was damning. Undeniable. Station security arrived within minutes. They surrounded Howard and his guards. Howard Phillips, the chief of security, said, You're under arrest for human trafficking, false imprisonment, and violation of coalition freedom laws. Howard's face twisted with rage. You can't prove. We can, the chief said, holding up his data pad. We have all the proof we need. Thanks to a very brave young lady. Howard and his men were led away in restraints. The docking bay fell silent. Derek stood frozen, amazed at what had just happened. Kira had done more than save herself. She had saved 17 other people. Maybe more. The airlock opened and Kira stepped out. She looked small and scared, but her eyes were determined. Derek ran to her and dropped to one knee. Kira, that was incredibly brave. And incredibly dangerous. You could have been hurt. I had to do it, she said quietly. Those people are suffering just like I suffered. I couldn't let Galaxon keep doing it. And I knew you would protect me while I broadcast the evidence. Sarah stepped forward. How did you get all that information? Kira smiled slightly. I've been listening to their communications since Howard first approached us. Every call, every message, every data transfer. I recorded it all using the ship's computer. Then I just waited for the right moment to release it. Tom laughed. You're a genius, kid. The rest of the crew gathered around, patting her shoulder, telling her how proud they were. Kira looked overwhelmed but happy. Over the next few days, the story spread across the sector. Coalition authorities raided the Galaxon facility on Carvon Station. They freed 17 Velrians who had been held there for years. Other trafficking operations were uncovered and shut down. Dozens of people were freed. News reporters wanted to interview Kira. Government officials wanted to thank her. She refused all of them. She didn't want fame. She just wanted to go back to her normal life. On the 5th day, the Horizon Runner was cleared to depart. The repairs were finished. The ship was restocked. It was time to leave. Derek found Kira in the engine room, helping Tom check the power systems. You ready to go? Derek asked. Kira nodded. Yes, I want to leave. This station has too many memories now. Good ones though. You're a hero, Kira. You saved all those people. Kira shook her head. I'm not a hero. I just did what was right. That's what you taught me. You showed me that my worth isn't about being useful. It's about being me. About being free. About having people who care. Derek felt his eyes getting wet. He blinked quickly. When did you get so wise? I learned from the best, she said with a smile. The Horizon Runner departed Kelver Station that evening. Kira stood on the bridge with the crew, watching the stars streak past as they jumped to light speed. Sarah was at the helm. Tom monitored the engines. The rest of the crew worked at their stations. And Kira sat at the new communications console Derek had installed just for her. She wore a headset, listening to the electromagnetic symphony of space. Tracking signals. Monitoring systems. Doing what she did best. But now she did it by choice. For people who valued her not for what she could do but for who she was. Derek watched her work, feeling grateful. He had walked into that slave market planning to just refuel and leave. Instead he had found family. He had found purpose. And Kira had found something even more precious. She had found herself. That night after her shift ended, Kira stopped by Derek's cabin. She knocked softly. Come in, Derek called. She entered and stood there looking shy. I just wanted to say thank you. For everything. For saving me. For giving me freedom. For showing me that I matter. Derek smiled. You always mattered, Kira. Even when you were in that cage. Even when nobody else saw it. You mattered. I know that now, she said. And I'll never forget it. She hugged him quickly, then left to go to her own cabin. Her home. Her safe place. Derek sat back in his chair looking out at the stars. The galaxy was a big place. Full of cruelty and injustice. But it was also full of kindness. Of hope. Of second chances. He had given Kira a chance at freedom. And she had given him something in return. She had reminded him why he did this job. Why he traveled the stars. Why he fought against the darkness. Because every person mattered. Every life had value. And sometimes all it took was one person willing to see that worth. One person willing to care. The Horizon Runner sailed on through the infinite night, carrying its crew toward new adventures. And in the heart of the ship, a small Velrian girl slept peacefully, finally knowing she was home. Finally knowing she was free. Finally knowing her worth.